Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have a newcomer into the temple, creator of the Rune Runners TTRPG, which we will get to in a moment. The one and only Stoichein Cat. I'm hoping I pronounced it right. How you doing today,
Honestly,
man?
it's what doing good. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's one of those things I've never clarified how to say it. So, however anyone says it is the right way.
This is like the whole Rosh or Ra's al Ghul thing where nobody can agree on it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, not
original thought was like Stoichein, like the catch up and stuff like that. But I'm like, everyone just keeps saying it the other way. I'm like, oh, I'll let it slide. I think it works just as well.
I haven't had that much issue with Mildra.
Yeah.
But
heck yeah.
One of the traditions around here is opening up with the humble beginnings, the origin story. Some may say the villain origin story, depending on who you ask. So, walk me through your first introduction to role-playing games and what made it stick.
The first one I ever played was D&D with a buddy, but the one that honestly really made me fall in love with them is I had a sergeant that brought in the Alien role-playing game. I believe it's by Free League. I could be off on the publisher for that one.
Yeah, that's Free League. I'm glad it was that one and not the original one.
Oh no. Was the original one made in the 80s?
It was made in '93.
Oh no, that. Oh yeah, I already know that one's crunchy as all get out.
It's because
Oh,
it's based on Phoenix Command, and Phoenix Command is high up on the list of games I have very consistently stated I will not run unless I am handsomely paid. And by handsomely, I
heck yeah.
mean you can't afford it.
Yeah, yeah. It was literally that one, and I was like, "This is." It was nice because D&D was cool, but I don't feel like the systems were done in a way that made me care.
Mhm.
Combat took friggin' forever, but I really enjoyed the Alien one because it felt like things are moving along faster. And it also helps in a horror setting. Nobody gets super attached to their characters, so they're willing to make those more damaging moves. Their characters.
Yeah. And I had to readjust my thinking when you said combat took forever because I was like, wait, it's using the one by Free League uses the year zero engine. That system only cares about if you roll sixes.
Yeah. Oh. And it could have fully been him too. The guy was very good at running one shots, and literally we like knocked it out in like an hour.
Oh yeah, I can certainly get that.
Yeah.
Now, with Ruin Runners, what was the? I know you cited things like Shin Megami Tensei: Strange Journey, Etrian Odyssey, and also Mega Man Battle Network and Sword World. But what was the impetus for creating your own RPG with Ruin Runners? Was it just a set of house rules that evolved into its own thing, or was there a different path?
So there was and I wish I had it on the thing. There's this manga that was made by, ironically, a hentai artist that was for Coma making jokes about different cultural like video games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they had like a TTRPG part, and essentially it was like mercenaries run through a tunnel, and I just remember seeing it and thinking like, holy crap, this looks awesome. And this was even before I played any TTRPGs, but I was like, this is cool. And eventually I was making a bigger zine called Poppycock Volume 3,
Mm-hmm.
and I made the cover art for it. And then I started to actually try to make it, and then I quickly realized its own thing, and also, holy balls, it is so much harder to sit and actually make a TTRPG that like tactically feels like what I wanted it to. Um, because in the manga it was something similar to kind of Sword World's combat, where you had those very like segmented sectors
Mm-hmm.
and a little more like free form. But I was like, then I basically took that, and then I took the Mega Man Battle Network and squished those two together, and I was like, okay, this is more kind of what I wanted. But yeah, no, literally 100% the original. It's most of the original kind of vibes were pulled from that part of that manga,
Mm-hmm. And
because I love
as
it.
as far as H artists making a manga, they're in good company. So that's where a lot of mangaka got their start, and some of them
Yeah,
do what we're doing both at the same time.
yeah,
Getting that guys like Oh Great, Kota Hirano, Rei Hiroe. Although although the stuff that Rei Hiroe was doing before Black Lagoon is stuff I wouldn't bring. I'm not gonna show that though I don't break
yeah.
TOS.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
it wasn't anything illegal, just
Yeah,
kept kind of pushing the boundary in the same way that I wouldn't show Sallow in front of a film school class in college.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would just say I will talk about it. I'm not going to show any of it. If you're that curious, go look it up yourself.
yeah, yeah. I feel that. I feel that completely.
I had to do a paper on the black wave of cinema in Yugoslavia, and watching some of the movies from it. There's not enough alcohol in the world to get me to go back.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. As soon as I heard Yugoslavia, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be some dark stuff.
I will simply say a Serbian film is the tip of the iceberg. That is as far as I'm going to go with that.
Cool, cool. Understandable. Understandable indeed.
hmm So, yeah, I can get that. With what you mentioned with Sword World, that's definitely describing the simplified combat, since Sword World, especially once we get to the 2.0 and 2.5 era, has had three variations on combat.
Yeah.
None of them are the traditional approach either,
Yeah.
which makes me smile. But Simplified was the one that had the front row and back row, and I think that's the closest to what you were going with.
Yes,
Especially,
that is specifically the one.
yeah, especially leaning into Mega Man Battle Network as well.
Yeah.
Standard combat is on a one plane approach.
Yeah.
I've seen some people describe it akin to a fighting game, but I think a better analogy would be the Tales of series.
Yeah.
The last few Tales of games notwithstanding, of course.
Yeah.
And advanced combat has a movement and encounter setup less akin to grid combat and more akin to most skirmish or full scale war games, where you have full 360 movement instead of grids or hexes.
Yeah.
What instantly comes to mind for me, because I was playing it a lot, was Confrontation. But any war game you may have played in the last 20 years is going to fit that vibe. Not a lot of the war games that use grid or hex combat are in the minority.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love Warhammer. Warhammer doesn't use that. It uses a measuring setup.
Yeah.
And BattleTech uses hexes. But with the idea of it, with Ruin Runner, I think one thing that I found kind of interesting is much like, would it be accurate to say that much like Sword World, you're doing a kind of classes as skills approach, where
Yes.
you're just spending XP on classes.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm. So unless I've got this wrong, it looks like you have each time you get a level, you get its benefits. So it is, but those benefits vary depending on which level you're at. So it's not a 1-to-1, but in that general direction.
Yeah. 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 And honestly, it might get changed closer to just a straight skill one for the final release.
Mm-hmm.
So um, no, honestly, I think I need to figure out, because it's a big worry why I did it like I did was because I was worried that basically people weren't going to be able to get AP at a good rate, but I also didn't want them abusing it, and so I think I need to figure out a good system for that is able to reward it, but also keep it from getting too goofy for specific classes.
I'd imagine you'd also want to avoid people playing too defensively.
Yeah, and that's kind of why the Sentinel class is going to get reworked. Specifically, I think I gotta pull it up, but the first skill in that, where it just, like, I was looking at it and I was realizing, like, oh, this doesn't actually fit with the intended play pattern, because the intended play pattern is, I think, something similar to kind of like a tank in like World of Warcraft, or something where they're supposed to take the damage and kind of be able to play through it.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one, Shocking Strike, just straight up just says that enemy doesn't get to do anything for the entire combat round. I was like, that doesn't fit with the playstyle. So yeah.
I know that with some of the classes in Sword World, they had it where there were 3 tiers of feature. I mean, Enhancer, Alchemist, and Geomancer kind of do that, where each level you get a certain skill, but some skills are locked off based on how many total levels you have.
Yeah.
So that is a potential approach. Um,
Heck yeah.
and you already mentioned you already mentioned Sentinel is meant to be the tank, so that answers that answers that one. But with Nin, is that meant to be your obvious? I could go with the ninja approach, but is that meant to be your rogue in that sense? Your
Yeah,
glass
yeah. More
cannon
the
DPSer, or more of a disabler?
more so damage dealer, with some light disable kind of field manipulation stuff in that.
So a disabler
Um,
controller.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
and then the
if I'm using the 4E rolls, which I will do anyways because uh, 4E was great, and I'm tired of pretending that it wasn't.
yeah, yeah,
But and
no,
I'm guessing the Sawbone is your take on the medic, the cleric, um,
yeah,
that kind of support archetype.
yeah, 100%. That one I actually ironically I'm in the final release I'm working on now. I've actually buffed up the enemy's damage just to make it so that because originally there was a skill in there that it's like they're getting like a half like a d6 half of life at the beginning of each um, priority level, and I was like, oh, that's too much. But I had a Andrew Beuman, I think is how I say his last name,
Mm-hmm.
was bring up the point like, what if you just made the game harder? And I was like, yeah, like I was like, yeah, I actually should just make the game harder,
Mm-hmm.
because that was something I realized when I was playtesting is the original rules can feel a little slow, and I don't feel like there's a sense of danger that really needs to be there. Because I want combat to be something that is a thing that happens, but not necessarily. It shouldn't be their first like let's just instant do it. It should be like you know how with like Etrian Odyssey sometimes you'll be like, okay, I can go down that hallway, but I know I'm gonna jump, so I'm gonna try to kite them out, um, like something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, and Etrian Odyssey and Mega 10 are successors in the dynasty that is Wizardry,
Yeah,
which has a lot of that stuff, and also a lot of it's also part of the reason why those games can be somewhat painful.
yeah.
I say somewhat because don't get me wrong, I like Wizardry, but the
Oh
game
yeah.
hate Wizardry is one of my poster boys for what I call evil game design.
Yep.
Not bad game design, evil.
Yeah. Wizardly definitely. It could just be the air, but Wizardly definitely hates its players. There is so little like
Mm-hmm.
um what's it like quality of play stuff for the players at that time in that design. It's like everything is just like let's do the slowest, most painful way possible. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, Wizardly. I've not necessarily played it because again, like you said, it's definitely evil game design. And I don't think I can handle it, but it's been something I've been doing a lot of research on, and I don't know. I'd like to see that kind of like more dungeon crawlers really be able to get more of a like foothold here in the West. I just think if it's old school heads making it, it might be harder for it to get picked up over here. So,
I've I've certainly seen the fact that a lot of self-described old school types, uh, unfortunately have a bit of a I won't beat around the bush. Have a bit of a stick up their ass, and
yeah,
this is coming
yep,
from someone who's treated a lot of the grogs in the tabletop space as my whipping boy for over 20 years.
yep,
Because in a lot of cases they have the mindset of, this particular the tradition needs to be maintained,
yeah,
even if the tradition is the problem. Uh,
yeah,
like if I let some of the grogs have their way, then I'd be doing race as class again for eternity, and I don't want to do that, and I don't
Yeah.
think anyone else wants to either. Um,
No, no.
but with the with that in mind, when it comes now when it comes to the setup, one thing I am curious about is when it comes to movement or positioning. Is it a case where where there are certain builds or certain equipment or the like that could force movement, like force someone to
Um,
reposition?
yes, some of it in the Sentinel stuff is there, and then I'm gonna be throwing in the. Oh, I'm blanking on what I named it, but essentially it's like the rifle class
Mm-hmm.
is really more dependent on the area. That's something that I'm intending to push more in the final release, is really pushing more like range is better, because that's one thing that I kind of noticed going back into the beta is I'm like we it I don't want the grid to feel trivial. I want it to feel engaging, and I feel that some of the original choices I made didn't encourage that play.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which I can certainly get that.
yeah.
And when it comes now, when it comes to, especially since I double checked, um I didn't see anything like a rifle proficiency when it came to the firearms. I saw things
Yeah.
like handguns and shotguns.
Yeah.
And
I should have sent it to you, but the rifle class was in ironically Poppycock 3, so I will send that so you can see it afterwards. But
mm-hmm.
I should have sent that before. That's my bad.
Yeah. Now, I am because of the setup. Um, I do see a bit of the Pokemon DNA when it comes to the types and what each type is strong and weak against.
Yeah.
Uh, and the variation of that strength and weakness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I definitely was inspired a bit because I actually, when I was doing the layout for that specific part of it, I actually went into Pokemon and pulled from their typings just because I was trying to get kind of some general breakdowns that I don't always see in some of the stuff I mentioned.
mhm.
But yeah, no, I definitely pulled a bit from that. I think I'd like to try to simplify it a little more for the final release, but again, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if there's any simplification that's done, I think it should be on the degree of effect with strong and weak should be a bit standardized.
Yeah.
Because you've got some that give a bonus of 3, some that give a bonus of 2, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, now,
Heck yeah.
one thing I definitely noticed when I looked at the character sheet was the abundance of skills. Uh, though I don't think this is going to have the same problem that I've seen other games have when it comes to skill use, where where individual skills are so specific in terms of what you can use them for that when you're not if that situation isn't coming up in play, then your investment was useless.
Yeah.
Obviously, um, I know some people are thinking of D&D Third Edition when I say that. It would be tempting to go with that, but I'm actually thinking of games like Rifts or Shadowrun.
Heck yeah.
And what I'm referring to with skills in this is what's known as talents within the system.
Yeah.
But I since one of the proficiencies is odd things. I'm curious what odd things is intended to be.
Um, Basically anything that wasn't listed in the other one. I specifically with the weapon proficiency
Mhm.
things. I wanted to make sure I left myself that design space open, just for weird. weapons and stuff like that. Because the idea down the road, I'd like to do some like just some oddball type classes, and that was the only way I could put that in without having to add a bunch of extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is like, it's my my best attempt to future proof it. I'm not saying it's gonna be as simplified for the final release. I might try throwing a few more stuff in there, but I do still make that just a random thing of odd things. Like, yeah, whatever you're thinking, dude, like just throw it in.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to when it comes to the core mechanic, I believe you're using a D6 based approach. Since we're
Yes.
drawing on Sword World, is 2d6 the default die, or is it just 1d6 plus additional ones?
I believe it's 1d6 plus additional.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, I have been so in the weeds with the combat. I have not done as much due diligence on the role playing part of it. I like it's really bad, but I believe it's 1d6.
Mm-hmm. Which is understandable. Uh, and it also, from what I saw, it also looked like there were two sources when it came to talents. There are some talents that are strictly from gaining levels in classes, and then there are some talents that were directly tied to equipment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I want to continue with that because I like the idea of I really want equipment to feel special.
mhm.
And I think this is the best way to incorporate in the system. Something that I feel like is pretty common with a lot of systems, and this isn't like a bash against them, but I don't feel like a lot of equipment has the same. It just doesn't feel cool. You know, it's like, oh, my sword point of damage. It's like, wow, that's cool, but I don't feel like it adds as much to it.
Yeah. When it came to equipment, personally, I ended up taking a lot more from FPS than I'd be willing to admit in most cases.
Yeah,
And it is due to the fact that your choice of equipment in FPS is going to really be a determining factor in your playstyle.
yeah,
And there's also the fact that you're not picking a battle rifle because it's giving you a plus one to attacks or something like that. You're picking it because the playstyle you want to do, it is a decent choice for it.
yeah,
Or you're dealing with a monster that that is going to require certain types of firepower.
yeah,
Like, you go back to Combat Evolved. If you're dealing with vehicles, well, you're probably looking for a rocket launcher or using a rocket launcher.
yeah.
Uh, unless
It's I
unless
like
you're
that
like me
idea
and
of that.
just putting in proximity mines. And the same thing goes with like the perk system in the better Call of Duties.
Yeah,
Uh, and
I feel like it's a better way to do stuff in general because I feel like the problem is I feel like the stat-based approach just doesn't improve like player creativity and stuff like you were saying. It just encourages people to try stuff and to actually like enjoy their items. You know?
mhm. There are ways to do the stat setup, but I think instead of it just being a universal number go up, it should be a situational one that leans into a playstyle. And
Yeah.
to use an example, I'll bring up one of my favorite weapons whenever I play Pyro in Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
That being the Axe Extinguisher. Now, it doesn't do any sort of increased damage as stats. It just means that if you use it on an enemy that's on fire, your attacks always crit. You're always doing critical damage. As a pyro, setting things on fire is kind of your thing.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So I usually have that as my melee and have as a secondary the flare gun, which lets me fire at further range than the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Not full on further range, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Um, or if I'm playing heavy, I'm probably taking the sandwich along because as heavy, I'm going to be a big, slow target for people to shoot at. So make it so that I can take more shots. Or if
Heck yeah.
and since heavy and medic are a combination that you're always going to see, um, and you can drop the sandwich for your allies, you can heal the healer. You know,
Yeah.
but these kind of things are more about developing a playstyle rather than the best combination of numbers.
Yeah.
Because once you get to the best combination of numbers, you end up with the problem that, say, the Elder Scrolls has had, especially Skyrim, of, oh, you can build any kind of character with it, but everybody is going to eventually descend on Stealth Mage Archer.
Go, go, go.
Because
Honestly,
for
yeah.
its combat, that is the most ideal approach.
Go. I feel like I also it might just been that at least with TRPGs, I was so, especially when I was playing D&D with that buddy, I was so around like mid maxers that were just like, I'm just gonna do the most. It just really kind of killed the enthusiasm I had for the systems like that.
Yeah, it also means that the sweet irony is that the same person who min maxes will also tell me that again that say fourth edition doesn't have enough role playing mechanics, but yet can't determine what exactly that means.
Oh.
And when I point out that their favorite edition is just as wargaming as the rest, I'm made into the villain.
Yep.
Which I can take that. I've always been the villain in certain situations. I told you about one of them before we went live,
Yeah.
but it's more of that phrase, "Don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining."
Yep. Yep. I feel that. I feel it indeed.
And then I think about games like Destiny, where certain weapons seem to have their own upgrade tree.
Yeah.
They don't go all the way with it as much as I'd like, but it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And I think you had a similar approach in, say, Dark Cloud, where weapon upgrades were based on accessories that fused into the weapon when you leveled it up.
Yeah.
Of course, you level it up enough, you can turn that weapon into a synth sphere and repeat the process.
Yeah.
But
Heck yeah.
I think, but we talked about AP use, and I think one of the main ways to make sure that is managed is that there's always a way to get it back.
Yeah.
And I realize that balancing an action economy is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
But on the monster end of things, have there been any instances you can think of certain monsters contributing more to Wipeout than others?
The Striped Sphinx can be really, if the players are dropping a bunch of really powerful attacks, the Striped Sphinx has an ability that allows it to essentially copy that.
Mm-hmm.
I've tweaked it in the current, well, not current, in the release that I'm working on now. We'll see if it survives playtesting. But yeah, that one can really screw up players in a way that can be challenging. But the nice thing is, it's also one of those things where is again, it's only able to copy what it saw, and it's specifically the nice thing. Also, it says non-equipment skills, so it's like, okay, well, sometimes you might just need to shoot this thing in the face before it is able to get anything really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, the thing that is really potentially hazard is for runners is kind of the synergies between some of the monsters, and just kind of the goofy stuff that can happen because of it.
Yeah, I could see that. And when I look at the visual approach of the t- the ruins and the like, I get the sense that you're doing that kind of Gestalt fantasy approach where this isn't exactly high fantasy, it isn't exactly steampunk, but much like your inspirations, whether it be Etrian Odyssey or a lot of console RPGs, it's making a grab bag and
Yeah.
creating a combined whole with that, which is why I call
Yeah.
it Gestalt fantasy after the Gestalt triangle.
Go, go.
But I have a I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody looked at the use of firearms or the use of a computer in some of the art and balked because they assumed that it was going to be medievalist high fantasy or something.
Yeah. I grew up the really bulky computers. It wasn't as bad as, and this is the ones that I picked. Probably the earliest computer I can throw off my head is those Apple ones that
Like the
had
Apple
like
II
the
GS?
yeah, like the jelly where it was like really colorful in the back.
Oh, the iMacs.
Yes, that was the one that was as a kid. But the thing that I really like technology wise is a lot of that kind of bulky technology from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I when I was in the military, I got to work on a plane. There's one called the E3, and it's meant to be a radar plane, but to make sure it couldn't get hacked, all the technology in there is super old. Like the computers have like floppy drives that are as big as your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love like the tactile tech. I think the original Alien movie is a great example of um, what I the world would have been is
Mm-hmm.
just because I love the look of it. I yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with with the pizza story when it comes to the Blackbird?
No, but I would love to hear it.
Uh, See, the SR-71 Blackbird has been a troll for its entire career. Even when it was being made, because the main way to get a supersonic plane to still be that level of stealthy was with titanium.
Yeah.
But the US didn't have the amount of titanium that they'd need for production. So they got it from the Russians in the 80s by using shell companies asking for titanium for pizza ovens.
That's so stupid. That sounds exactly like something the government would do.
It was because at the time there was a misconception that was probably encouraged by the government that Americans were so lazy they would rather order pizza than make their own food.
Oh, that is hilarious. That
And
oh
and
God, that's lovely.
of course the US government did not do anything to correct the record because, as Napoleon said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. They just set up pizza companies that didn't exist just to get the titanium for ovens.
That's hilarious. That makes so much sense. Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Then it was supposed to be called the SR-17, but Reagan fucked up during during a debate and called it the SR-71. It was supposed to be the RS-17.
That 100% sounds like something Reagan would do.
Yeah. Then again, you have the fact that there's supposedly stories that a literal bath bomb was used during an operation that involved a Super Hornet, where some Marines on a Navy ship stuck a bathtub onto one of the planes and mounted it.
Oh God, that sounds like the Marines would do.
But playing devil's advocate with that would be the third case a kitchen appliance had been used in a bombing run. I mean, there was the kitchen sink in World War II, and then there was the toilet bomb in the Korean War.
At the toilet. Oh my god.
Yeah, just drop a whole ass toilet or a whole ass sink, a whole ass
Oh,
porcelain sink that they painted on the words "the kitchen sink."
oh god. I swear, some of that stuff. Somebody was bored and said, "Well, let's do it anyway."
Uh, Sometimes I don't think it's boredom. I think it's the fact that the military encourages, not directly but indirectly, um, different ways of trolling, and plus there's the whole legend of the Lance Corporal Underground or the E4 Mafia, which does not exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For legal
The worst
reasons,
part.
the E4 Mafia is not a thing.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Never saw that. Oh. The worst story I ever heard was there was some Marines in Okinawa that got their whole base on lockdown because they were running around and shooting people with in a golf cart with paintball guns. Just stupid crap.
See, that makes perfect sense. If only because when you're stuck on a base with nothing to do, you will find ways to pass the time.
Oh,
Even if you're
100%.
not on a base, if you're just in some spot and you're just sitting around. That's why I'd heard some bases would try and do these get-togethers. I think the army called it better opportunities for single soldiers, because they didn't want people just drinking in their barracks all day.
Wow, I mean that's good. The army's doing stuff like that.
Yeah, but they found a way to screw it up by offering hot dogs that were $5 each.
Oh my, yeah, that sounds like the army. I was about to say, I was like, wow, the army actually got or something on the air force, and yeah, that sounds like the army. That sounds like the army. Oh
Well,
god.
this is the same army that spent so much money on the whole UCP that Congress told them you are not allowed to jumpstart your own camo projects anymore,
Oh, yeah.
because they spent like $10 billion on it.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Money just goes like everywhere in the military, and it's crazy, especially like when you're in just seeing like, oh wow, $800 per screw. We have a bag of like 500 of them. It's like there is no way this screw is worth that much. Like
In
it's
some cases, it spent that much because if they end up actually spending responsibly on it, there's the risk of the budget getting cut. Like,
yep,
oh, you made do with half the amount. All right, we're only going to send you half the money next time.
yep.
Which, yeah, that sounds stupid, and it kind of is, but that is what ends up happening. Or you have some general who is trying to talk on a subject he knows absolutely nothing about, like insisting on guns being put on a stealth recon plane.
God, yeah, I was gonna say part of these like that wouldn't happen. It's like no, it would happen. It would happen. The amount of stupid crap that, especially like Top Brass does, is
Well,
absolutely
you know why
bull
the
crap.
army mainly uses helicopters, right?
But I'd love to hear why.
It is because the Air Force had to throw a bitch fit about anyone else but them using planes.
That sounds like something they'd do. Yeah.
But the army needed flying vehicles, so we get helicopters,
Yep. That tracks.
which
That tracks.
is very much an army thing.
Yep.
And again, I realize it sounds stupid, but it is. And hell, I've even seen that similar kind of departmental rivalry when it comes to comic books.
Yeah.
Like the big problem with trying to do those big crossovers in comics is every line is its own little fiefdom in the big two.
Yeah.
So you have a bunch of writers and editors for, say, Batman. You have a bunch of writers and editors for Wonder Woman, and on it goes. So when a crossover is mandated, everybody wants to have their say in it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah. That.
when the Justice League comics were starting to come out, the editors for that didn't want Batman and Superman on the thing because of brand dilution, and it took the higher ups at DC to say, um, it's our comic, we own it. We're saying put them on the cover.
Yeah. That's. Yeah, I can see how like rivalry crud would happen. I mean, it's. I don't know. It's stupid because I feel like that's also kind of how they do the organization stuff. I know, at least military wise, when I was in, they pushed kind of the uh, our thing is better than the other ones. Mostly just I feel like to make people not regret their choice, but also like so people would be bigger diehards. You know, um,
On
it's funny. My the recruiter that got me in, she literally said like, "Oh, you're not gonna end up homeless in the street. That's an army thing." And it's like holy crap! Like especially once again, I'm like, what were you thinking? Like there, no!
I have a feeling you
uh,
resisted the urge to do a spit take when you heard that.
oh, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. The amount of okay, and it's not like okay. I can't think of a better term, but the amount of like classism that different branches have against.
Tribalism. It is very much tribalism. And I think I lost you for a minute. Technology, folks, it likes to give us the middle finger.
Back.
I think
Oh,
so.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I feel like Discord's being really weird.
It has been the last couple days. I've considered using a backup if need be.
Yeah.
But I had said that there's definitely a kind of tribalism when it comes to the different branches. Some of it is good natured ribbing, and I know when it comes to the Coast Guard, there's an attitude of nobody picks on my little brother but me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep, yep. I will say the Coast Guard has 1,000% more right to exist than the friggin' Space Force. I will. That's the one branch I will always crap on, um, because it's like there is no good reason y'all should have been your own branch. I also heard a story where they were sending out, like a racing recruit to essentially do like he was literally going into like fast food places, being like, "Join the Space Force today," and it's like that. That's terrible. Like Jesus bless it, you know.
given the rigors of training you have to do to go into space, a fast food joint is the last place you should be going.
Oh yeah. Plus the crazy thing is they manage obviously this could have changed, but they manage satellites. They're not even they don't do space. They're the satellite boys. Uh no, I was actually in when that got officially signed in and my basically the guy who was managing the dorm was like, "Hey dude, you want to see something crazy?" and showed me the memorandum, which was basically some crap thrown down. And I was like, "Wow, that's cool." I'm like, "What do they do?" He's like, "Oh, mostly just manage satellites." I'm like, "It's okay then."
And NASA can't do that. Why?
Yeah. Oh, it's so stupid. It's just like because it was originally, from what I understand, it was like Air Force stuff. That's why they wear the same camo that the Air Force wears, which is the same camo that the Army wears. I'm assuming with what you said today that's probably because the Army spent so much money. They're like, we're gonna make all the branches wear them. But no, it's stupid. It was kind of like how the Air Force came around, where it was just like, oh, we need our own branch. It's like you really don't. You just
Mhm.
wanted to not be a part of the parent branch you're part of. But
Yeah. And I will note the reason why everyone hated the UCP camo was because it was expensive and didn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, it only seemed to work against that one couch. Basically this it's one of those ugly ass hotel couches. It was something that they tried in 2000 that they were trying in 2004. And I was actually wrong. It took 5 billion to make.
Jesus bless it. That's holy ball.
Uh,
Oh, that's insane. 5 billion, holy balls.
yeah, because somebody had saw the digital camo pattern that Canada was doing, and wanted something like that, but Canada wasn't wasn't willing to play ball because of a rights thing.
Yeah. That's amazing. $5 billion. Holy balls.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Which
Now I
is
look at
which is why the I think that's the reason why Congress said you are not allowed to make your own camo anymore.
ooh, ooh,
Oh,
that's
but
hilarious.
now I now one of the other one of the other things I did want to delve into is the idea of doing a relationship system.
Yeah.
Now, when it when it came to that, uh, was that a means of just trying to make it so that characters were more living characters instead of just you're going into the dungeons and nothing else kind of thing?
Kind of. It's that's one of the systems that I'm probably gonna overhaul a bit for the final release.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just because the original intent was to try to help make people care more about the out of tunnel stuff too. Um, I, I feel like, at least looking back on it now, I'm kind of worried that the system's a little too like fiddly and not in like a good way. So they're definitely probably gonna have probably over maybe switch it to something like a Fathom better. So I still want people to have some connection to their essential home base. Um, but yeah, that was the original intent, is basically just to keep like give people more reasons to care. I also really kind of like the idea of if you screw around, like the things that people taught you, you kind of end up forgetting. I think it's a fun system, but I do think I'm probably gonna have to tweak it a lot more for the final release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. And were there any concepts that you had early on in the process that that you ended up killing off because it just wasn't taking with how the system was going?
Yeah. So the original thought, and I might still do something like this, but the original thought was essentially having like it's still kind of in the system. That's why there's the like the cabbies. But the original system thought was like a truck that would go into the tunnels, and essentially the idea was kind of if you were it was like surface where you were on the surface, and then you'd have a little truck that would go into it, and then you essentially have like a relationship status thing with like your radio operator. So you'd be like, oh hey, we need to get out here in 5, and then something might happen, break down, then you're like, oh god, we're getting swarmed, dude, I need you to hurry up. I looked at it and I was like, this system is a great idea for a different game. And I'd love to make it work. I just don't think that the way I envisioned the system works great. And I feel like I'd have to overhaul a lot of stuff to make it work.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, what are you planning on doing any updates on the system up on itch or anything like that in the next few months?
I would love to, but the problem that I ran into when I was constantly tweaking it is it flags it as fraud. I literally had it on like the head. Basically, it was like the new and upcoming games. It was there for a bit, and then I catched a bunch of stuff like spelling errors, and I went back to fix that. And then I re-uploaded it, and then it got flagged, and then search like basically search banned pretty consistently. And so I would really love to be able to tweak the beta more on there, but it doesn't play well with their sensor stuff. That's not the right word. Their safeguards.
Yeah. I know why they have those safeguards there, but it's definitely a case of swinging the pendulum too far the other way.
Yeah, and I think they probably need to, because I feel like because they're so used to people essentially just throwing their game projects up there, like their video game projects up there, and not messing with them. I feel like they need a different system for like TTRPGs and text, because it doesn't work. Like, again, I understand the idea. The idea is that the platform was really made for these kind of indie games, these little like one game jams, and so the thought is people wouldn't be coming back and editing it. But I feel like it really hurts creators not to be able to tweak their stuff. And it's frustrating because I got stuff in there, like there's a few things where it's like, oh well, this is spelled wrong, this is spelled wrong, but it's finally back in the search. I'm just like I can't risk it. So
Yeah, I suppose that's why I've seen some have the download links be an external link that on a drive or something that can be grabbed.
yeah, I might have to do that. That sounds like a much better way.
Which I could certainly see that.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my monastery and enjoy the madness that happens here.
Yeah, heck yeah, it's a pleasure, and it's really always fun talking to people about games, and seriously, it was awesome.
And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open.
Oh yeah.
As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there will be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
more.